Feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key. Okay, that's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is a question and answer session for school, SKOOL, and this is the CPS school.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Join our school community for free to access weekly live Q&A sessions, or participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.
Good morning and welcome to Fight CPS. Hang on to your children. Good morning, Betty. I'm glad to see you this morning. It's kind of a miracle that I'm on because my show producer had no shows created this morning. She always does that the day before or something, and she's in the hospital. And so my prayers are going out to my show producer, Grace, that she recovers. I have no idea. I had no heads up or anything. I came onto my show. And good morning, Margaret. Welcome. Betty is from Montana, and Margaret's from St. Louis. And we need to say special prayers for my show producer, Grace. She's in the hospital. And I had to create my own show this morning, so hopefully I did it right. I think I got all the rooms, and I think I have the right message here. So, anyway, we can start off where we left off yesterday, Betty and Margaret. We were talking about Betty and how she became a foster care mother. Margaret said good morning, and Betty said good morning, and sending prayers to Grace. Yes, she's been with me this whole year. I mean, it's like she's my sidekick. There are times that sometimes she's away, but anyway, she takes care of a lot of things for me. She makes sure my programs start on time, end on time, and then she helps me out with other matters too. So anyway, I know all the prayers will definitely help with recovery. That's one thing. Our faith in God is so important. Our faith in God is so important. Now, yesterday we were talking about foster care and how you became a foster care, Betty. And I would like to somehow continue off, if that's okay, Margaret and Betty. You know, we take a lot of things for granted, you know, and one of our most precious things we take is our children. In 1 minute, you're loving your children, you're loving your babies, you're loving your family, and the next minute your family's turned upside down. That's what CPS does. I'm sad to say for you that it interrupts you. It interrupts you. You're now dealing with a government agency that is supposed to be, helping the family out and it's supposed to be caring for the family. Now, what I call the CPS, that stands for Child Protection System. There are many different systems throughout the United States in every state and county and the world. And it'd be too complex to call all the different names when I'm talking about it. But it's a government agency, social service, that has been entrusted to create an arm of social services that deals with protection of our children from neglect and abuse. Congress mandated that the social service agency would look after our children by them having lay people or professional people call in on suspected child abuse, of neglect, or abuse, physical abuse. And there also could be mental abuse too. I don't want to limit it just physical. But they're supposed to do that. Not only are they supposed to do that, they're supposed to also help out families in need with food, shelter, clothing, transportation, education, medical, and also help you find a job. And furthermore, if they're supposed to need to break your family apart because the child's safety, they're supposed to do family reunification. Family reunification, studies have shown, is the best parents, the biological parents, are the best parents to raise those children. And all possible, we should be concentrating on family reunification, getting the family restored, not enter them into foster care and have them adopted out. And that's kind of hard because you got an incentive of 1997 that says they're going to reward the child protection system with bonuses if they get them adopted into foster care, because they think that it takes too long with unification. I think what we need really good social workers that don't take long. I think it should start with a settlement conference before it even goes to dependency court. You should be able to sit down with these people and talk about your case and what can be done, the plans. Also, you should give the name of family members, whether they're in state or out of state, that could look after these kids while your matter is being cleared up. It's not the end of the world if you have a CPS case open up, but it's gotten so bad now that people are calling in, lay people, and they're not legitimate abuse or neglect. The only problem is CPS has to believe every call is real and you're guilty until you're proven innocent. So suddenly you're on the defensive and have to prove your innocence. But what's even got further aggravated is that CPS now enjoys the money that they make. It's $1 trillion business a year that CPS is making. It's a lot of money for bonuses and incentives and paying their people. The only trouble is there's a lot of crooked CPS workers, social workers, and also foster care. Not all foster care is bad. Not all CPS is bad. But over 800 people, close to maybe 900 I'm getting to, I've talked to every state in the United States, including Washington, D.C., which is not a state. That's 51 entities. They all had something in common. Their children were immediately taken from them when there was nothing in danger. And they were on a path to foster care adoption. Why? Because they get a lot of money. If they get them adopted in foster care, it's a $5,000 to $6,000 bonus. that comes from the federal government. And if it's a special needs child, it jumps up several more $1,000s. That's on top of the money that the state is paying the county, which they get the money from the federal government. And that federal government, there's no transparency or watchdog on that money. That money frees slowly from the federal government to the state to the county. I know my children are in Orange County Child Protection Service, the CPS, the system there. And they were getting $20,000 per child per month. That was $60,000 a month. It does not cost that much to raise a child or take care of a child remotely. So anyway, I've talked a little bit. Let's see what you guys have said here. Okay. All right. I talked about that. Betty, is your phone up and running, Bob? I'm going to give you a number you guys can call me because, no, it's really weird. I did what I did to reset my password, but it did not work. I don't know why it did not work, but I put my number up there. You can call on that number, and I will get your call. Betty, if you want to call in right now and talk about how to be a CPS worker. If you sent me a text message on Vonage, I have not got it because my Vonage is not working. Let me see here. Let me try Vonage here. I'll get it again. Hopefully, it'll let me sign in with my new password. Again, it says incorrect username or password. I don't understand this at all. I do not understand. The number 888-888-6582 is my office. If you want to retain Mr. Davis, you can call directly there and ask to retain him. Also, they have other attorneys that can help you. I'm going to see if there's an email from Vonage here. So far, nothing. Okay. So far, nothing. But if you want to call in, there's my number, Betty. There's my number. Hello, Taekun. Welcome to my podcast. Hold on one second here. Let me see what get rid of we got to be positive on this show here. I really can't help you out there. I'm sorry we had another troller in the room that just wanted to talk negative. I don't think we need to be negative about things. Let's see what Betty says. I've taken children in. I get paid $275 a month to take care of the child, that if they're under the age of 15. Now, if they're over the age of 15, it goes down to $175. Don't get any extra bonuses if adopt. Wow. That's interesting, Betty. That is so reasonable. That's so different what foster care is getting, the $4,000 to $5,000. You know, if they are taking care of a child, foster care gets so much more money than that. So I'm really surprised about that, Betty. We had someone just call, and let me see who it was. Is that you, Betty?
This is Betty.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for calling in. And I thank you very much for talking to me this morning about your job as a foster care parent and your experiences, because we really don't have too many foster care people that talk on the show. You're the
I became a foster parent a year ago, and to become a foster parent in the state of Montana, you have to do a sense of background checks. It's like an FBI check. They check you all over from head to toe.
Is that through the CPS or is that through the private organization?
That's through Department of Human Services.
Now, the Department of Human Services, that's the CPS entity in Montana, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the CPS in Montana does that background check. You're the first one of all the CPS workers. I've only talked to one other, but I've talked to other ones that my children were involved. They seem to get on board within 6 months. They contact CPS. They say they want to be a foster care person. They don't go through any training. Now, did you go through training after you were checked out?
I did for 6 months. I had to watch this child for 6 months, and the caseworker was at my home. They watched everything I did with the child. When I put the child to bed at night, they would watch me wake the child up, feed the child, bathe the child, change the child's diaper. They watch everything that you do. Now, they make a fake doctor's appointment just to see if you're going to be able to make that child's doctor's appointments. And then the parents would have visitation. You would have to transport that child from your home to the visitation place of where the child is having visitations with the child parents.
Yeah.
I mean, it is to the point, like, you don't want the social worker in your home watching you how you're going to raise this child. They're afraid that you're going to abuse the child. They're afraid that you're going to hurt the child. You're going to do awful things to the child. They want to make sure the child is in a safe environment before they actually start placing children with you. And when they do place a child with you, you get paid $275 a month for under the age of 15. From the age of 15 to 18, they pay you $175 a month. And if you're an adoption family, you don't get an extra bonus. You don't get paid at all for the children to be in your home.
Wow. And so you can actually adopt a child within 6 months?
No, it depends on the parents, how long it's taken in a case. Like my brother's case right now, I am an adoption family for my niece. I'm only an adoption for her. Any other time, I'm just a regular foster care provider.
Okay.
For my niece, it's been taken over a year for them to make a decision of where the child's going to be placed.
That's your niece. That's your niece.
15 out of 22 months, the parents have to get their stuff together.
Mm.
If they can't get their things together, then they will terminate the parental rights. At that time, then she's up for an adoption. She can go to any family members of her family that is willing to adopt her. Now, if there's no adoption out there that's available for her, then she stays in the foster care system until there's a family member that steps up and says, I'm willing to adopt.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's sad because Department of Human Services, which is CPS, wants the child to be with the foster care parents because most of the time they don't believe the parents are eligible or able to take care of the child. In my brother's situation, he has done everything that CPS has asked him to do, and they still will not place the child with him, nor mom. Mom has proven to the judge that she's not stable to take care of this child. She's got schizophrenia, she's got bipolar, she's got a lot of mental issues that the judge is worried about if he places the child back into her care, that she's going to have a meltdown, she's going to have a breakdown, she's going to hurt the child again. They want to place the child with my brother, but they're worried that he's not consistent enough to show the judge that he is consistent. He hasn't had a job for more than 6 months. He hasn't had housing for more than 6 months. They have to show the judge that he is consistent, and he's not doing that. So right now on the 15th of January, they're going to be terminating both parental rights. That means the child will be up for an adoption. Right now she's still in the foster care system in the state of Nebraska. I live in the state of Montana, so they had to do an ICPC program on me to see if I'm eligible to take the child. With me being approved in Montana for an ICPC and approved in Nebraska for an ICPC, that shows the judge, hey, there is somebody available to take this child.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
And with my niece being in Nebraska system, it's so hard to take her out of that system and place her in the Montana system because she has been a resident of Nebraska for over a year.
Wow.
So you have to fight for her rights in the state of Montana, saying, hey, she was born here in Montana. She wasn't born in Nebraska. She was born here.
Okay.
So you have to prove that she had housing here. Have to prove that she was born here. I have a copy of her birth certificate. I have copies of doctor's notes saying that she was here. When she was living here before, I had taken her to doctor's appointments. So that shows that she has stability here. She has had things going on here. So I have to present that to the judge in January to show, hey, she has been living here. She was living here for her first 3 months of her life. I was taking care of her every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Question for you.
Decided to take her to Nebraska.
Not question. Margaret made a comment. She says the foster parents that are accused of abuse, then their license is removed. So you get a license when you're a foster parent, right?
Yes. And
okay.
And then end up.
She said they hop to another agency and apply and get hired here in California, which is scary that they can have their license removed. Do they get another license? I mean, how do they get remade as a foster care parent?
They don't. Once your license is revoked, your license is revoked for good. Then if there's a case saying say that you beat the child, just instance, say you beat the child, and the child goes and tells their mom and dad, hey, they slapped me. Then the parents have to report that to Child Protective Services, which is CPS. Then they have to investigate. Once the investigation starts, your license is closed down. You're not allowed to have any children in your home. If you have any children in your home, they remove those children and place them to another foster care provider. Then once you go to court and the judge has to prove you guilty, that you did that, and if you are proven guilty, you're never allowed to have a license anywhere.
Okay.
So that shuts the federal CPS record.
Because I've heard from parents that have had their kids in foster care, and the foster care kids are in a foster care home where the children of the foster care families bully the kids, and also they hurt the kids. Faye Manley.
I've had a kid saying that they got bullied at their last home, and I had to report it because I'm a mandated reporter. I have to report that. When I have a child that comes in my home and says that mom pulled his hair or mom was touching him in the wrong spots, legally I have to report that. I have to make a report. I have to document it on my own end, and I have to turn around and I have to report it to the social worker. Now, if the social worker doesn't want to go forward with that, I have to present it in the courts, because all foster parents have the right to be heard in the courts.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's good to know. Thank you, Betty.
And when the judge asks if there's any objection to the child returning back to the parents, the foster parent can step up and say, I have an objection. This is why I believe the child should not go back to that home, is because he got abused. He got mentally abused. He got bullied. I don't believe that the child should be placed into that home because of this situation.
Okay.
You have to stand up for the child. Think of the child if it was an adult. That's the way I treat my children. I treat my children if they were an adult. How would they want to be treated? Do they want to be treated like an adult, or do they want to be treated like a little 2-year-old that's trying to talk?
Yeah.
You treat them with kindness and respect, and treat them like I want to be treated. Somebody treats me wrong. Do you think I'm going to treat that child wrong? No. I'm going to treat that child with more kindness than what that person received to me as.
Now, what about this incentive bill that was passed in 97 by President Clinton?
That was dropped because there wasn't too much. States were trying to gain the adoption. Once you become an adoption, you don't get an extra incentive. The Congress dropped that bill because there was too many parents that was trying to adopt, because CPS wanted them to adopt. They kept on pushing that and pushing that and pushing it, and most of the parents didn't want to adopt. They wanted to foster care the child, so the parents can have the child back.
Wow. When did that get dropped?
I'm not sure when it got dropped, but I know it got dropped because there was too many CPS workers trying to push that issue to the foster parents.
I think I'm going to try to see if my keyboard works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. A new computer will cost me $2,500.
Yeah, computers are really expensive. I know when I got my laptop computer, it was expensive, but I went to like pawn shops and stuff because they have to have the most upgraded systems and stuff in their computers. And I got mine really cheap. I only paid like $280 for Windows 11.
Wow.
Yeah, I would check out like some pawn shops and stuff and see if they have something that's in your budget that you can afford. I have a mom, I have a child that I'm watching, and she's looking for a crack. And I told her, well, go to like the secondhand stores and stuff.
Well, this law that President Clinton signed in, the Adoption and Safe Families Act, that's what it's called. And the president signed into law a $5,000 tax credit. It doesn't mean they get $5,000. They get to adjust their gross income down by $5,000 to families
Correct.
adopting children, and $6,000 tax credit for families adopting. It didn't say what else they're adopting.
Right, and it depends on each individual state too, how much your tax credit is. Like, say Montana could be $2,000 per child, and then California can be $10,000 per child. They're going to take that money off your earned income, so it shows that you have a low amount, and then you get all that money back at the end of the year. Me, I save all my receipts that I spend on the child, and I use that as my tax write-off, because that's a write-off that I paid for. The parents don't pay child support. They don't do nothing. My niece, she's been in foster care since May of last year. Her parents were ordered to pay child support. They can't get child support from the biological mother because she's on disability. When you're on disability, you don't have to pay child support.
Wow.
And now they only can go after my brother for child support. And so without mom being able to pay child support because she's receiving a disability check, so all that child support goes on to my brother, which is so weird. Is they take mom's amount and dad's amount and put it together. That's how much they want per month. Well, with mom being on a disability, all that money went on to my brother. So he has to pay in $986 a month for that child to be in foster care system, because mom can't pay it because she's on disability. They can't draw from disability. They can't take away from the disability because that is for the individual that has the disability. And I have a little girl, her dad's getting disability each month, and he can't pay child support. He can't afford child support. His housing is his whole income from his disability check. He has to go to churches and stuff to get help for his electricity bill, for his phone bill, for his car insurance, for his gas, his car payment. I mean, I don't know what the state's going to do, but he can't get the cash assistance through the state because the child's not in his care. Now, if the child was in his care, he can get, it's called temporary needy assistance, TNF.
Now, I see something interesting here. I see the Protect Our Kids Act of 2012. It said the Protect Our Kids Act 2012 establishes the Commission to eliminate child abuse and neglect fatalities, to study the use of child protection services and child welfare service. But I don't know what ever became of that. It was Congress passes. So there was the Pro-Child Act of 94 by Clinton. I think that's what it is. It imposed restrictions on smoking in facilities. Well, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Oh boy.
Because I'm in a foster parent, you're not allowed to smoke in your home. If you're a smoker, you're not allowed to have alcohol. You're not allowed to have guns. You're not allowed to have nothing in your home.
Drugs, I agree with what you're saying there.
I have one foster child. She came from another foster family, and she was telling me that her other foster mom was drinking all day long while her foster dad was at work. And so, as a mandated reporter, I had to report that. So they went and talked to the other foster mom, and they gave her a urinalysis and to check to see if there was anything in her system, and it was proven that she was drinking. And so they had to drop her license. She's not allowed to have a license ever again because of the drinking.
Yeah, I just, it's great that Montana does that, but I don't think every state does. That's why Margaret brought the fact that people can lose their license.
That's statewide. That's nationwide. That's nationwide. That if a child is being abused or neglected or anything, they lose their license.
Yeah.
That is nationwide. That's why they do a background check on you nationwide.
Yeah. Yeah.
To see if there's anything on you. And if there's anything on you, then it stops you from getting a foster care license.
Right. For all you just joining in, I want to welcome Tessa from Northern California. She just came on. Betty is talking about her job as a foster care parent. I did not realize that until yesterday. She mentioned that she was a foster care. I was making a generalized statement, and I apologize to you, Betty, because I wasn't meaning that you're not a good foster parent. It's just that the people I talked to in this room for this past year have said nothing negative. I've only had one social worker, Carol from Maryland, that talked about it. And she went through 6 months of training, and she had a clinical psychology degree, and she was horrified to hear about CPS. Then there was another lady that worked as a third party that helped out, and I quite couldn't understand too much. Then there was a foster care mother that did call in, and now you're the second one that have called in, and you're so good about explaining it to us all because, I hear nothing but negative feelings about that.
There is, like a lot of parents, they think, oh, foster care is a bad thing. It can be a good thing for the parents because you can gain a relationship with the foster parents. The parents are allowed to reach out to the foster parents. They're not allowed to come to our homes, but they can call us on the phone. We can meet them at public places. But there has to be prior approval by the social worker. The social worker has to prior approval of that. Now, if you have a child that's in foster care and you are in the same community as the parents, and if the parents see you in the grocery store with their child, yes, they're allowed to walk up and say hi.
Right.
Because it's an open public facility. It's not somewhere where you're just directly meeting. Yep, I'm going to be at Walmart at 2:00. Why don't you meet me there and you could say hi to your son, or Rosars, or Target, or Starbucks.
I want to welcome Tessa. You know who Tessa is. She's the girl from Northern California that had seizures when she was taking care of a child, and a neighbor saw through the window her husband helping her, and that was there. She just went to court today. She just got home, and she just said she was at court and she wants to talk tonight. Yes, Tessa, we'd love to hear from you tonight. How your court case?
Hear the results.
Yeah, we'd like to hear how. Were you able to subpoena the sheriff and the doctor to appear on your behalf? We want to know how the outcome came, Tessa. You've been so good about telling us. So tonight, Tessa, you can call in. I do have a temporary number right now that people can use and can call in. It's not as good as my Vonage system because Vonage does a lot more, but I'll post the number tonight and you can call in. And we'd love to hear from you, Tessa, and explain the details. Now, Betty's been talking about being a foster care parent, and she had to go through training, and it was through CPS, and she had 6 months of training. And when she's a foster parent, she's paid very nominal amount of money per month for children, like $275 a month and $145 if they're over the age of 15. It's remarkable that low money there. I am so, Margaret's surprised too. Wow, that you can take care of a child for the little money. That helps a little bit about the food. But you figure now, budget-wise, if you're eating at the grocery store, I budget $10 meals to feed 3 people. So that's like, $3, $4. So $5 per meal. Well, if you have 3 meals, that's $15 a day. And you multiply it times 7, you can see how fast it is eating up just the food alone. But that is remarkable. Now, my question is, there are foster care agencies out there. There are foster care homes out there. How do they work? I mean, they're tied into CPS too. I'm really confused to how to become a foster. It's like either you go to an agency or you apply at the child protection system.
You could apply through the agency, and then you can apply through the system too. The best way I did it, I applied through the system. And if you apply through the system, you don't have a lot of interaction with the social workers. The social workers will come to your home for 6 months. They live in your home for 6 months.
Wow, that's really amazes me. Now, if you do an agency, how's the agency work it?
The agency, they will come to your home every other day just to check on the child, see how the child's doing. And if the child's napping, they just want to see where the child's napping.
Okay.
Or their play area. Do they have a safe area to play at?
Yeah.
If they have a safe place to play at, then they're good. Make sure that if you have a young child in the home, you have like socket covers where you plug in like your cell phone charger. Make sure those are covered. Make sure there's a lock on the refrigerator. Make sure there's a lock on your stove so the child can't open the oven. Make sure there's child safety locks on all your covers that are low enough for a child to reach.
Okay.
You want to make sure there's nothing on the floor that a child can pick up and put in their mouth. If you have hardwood floors like I do, my whole house is hardwood floors. So make sure that there's nothing on the floors, no dust bunnies, no dirt. Make sure it's clean.
Right. Now, whatever happened to the mother of your niece? What happened to your brother's, I don't know if that was his wife, pardon, or girlfriend?
It was his girlfriend.
I'm sorry, what?
They both ended up coming back to the state of Montana. They both got into an argument in my home, and I had a foster child in my home at the time. And they were arguing, they were fighting, and I'm like, no, you need to take this outside. My kiddos don't need to hear this. Please take it outside. Well, she got very upset and slammed my door. And I said, you do not need to be slamming my door. Please take my property as kindness. This is a safe home. This is not a violence home.
Right.
Well, she got very angry and she broke my door. She broke a window in my door. So I called the police. The police came. They did an investigation. They went and talked to her, and she wasn't where they thought she could be. Well, I ended up taking my brother to his place, both of their places, in the next town over. Took him home. She ended up coming back when I was leaving, and she threw something at my car, and it broke my windshield.
Oh, no.
So I couldn't drive. So, of course, I had to call the law enforcement and say, I can't drive. She broke my window. They came in and they talked to her, and she got very upset. So she ended up going to another state, leaving the state of Montana, after the judge granted her to come to Montana to work the case here, trying to figure out what she needs to do to get her child here with her and my brother. Well, she ended up going to another state. She ended up going to the other state, working the case there. She ended up filing charges or allegations to CPS on me, saying that I'm abusing my foster children. I'm no good for nothing. I'm a drug user, and they had to come into my home, take the children out of my home until they can prove that those allegations were not true.
Okay.
Not litigated, sorry. So once they prove that they're not litigated, they say, okay, you can have children back in your home. So the little boy that I had, came back into my home. And he just went back with his parents. His parents went to counseling. They went to in treatment. They did everything that they needed to do. So the state gave the child back to them.
Mm.
So now they're underneath a watch for 6 months.
Okay.
The state will watch them for 6 months solid to make sure that they're not using drugs. They're going to continue to work. They're going to continue to do counseling. They're going to continue to make sure the child is safe. Now, if they refuse to do any of that, the child is removed again, and then they won't have right anymore to prove to the state or to the judge that they are worthy to have the child. Because
Yes.
they already were doing this prior. Now, if they go into the home and they see a marijuana pipe, they're going to take the child again out of that home because the child's not being safe. They're going to test their parents.
Okay.
And if the parents prove that they are positive for marijuana, then the child will be placed into a foster care. Then the parents will lose their rights because they already said to the judge, hey, I will do what I need to do to have my child back into my home. I will continue to have a safe home. I will continue my counseling. I will continue to do my UAs. I will continue to have my job. You admitted to the judge that you wanted to have your child back because you're going to be doing these steps. If you fail to do those steps, the judge is going to say, nope, you failed to do these steps. The child is away from you. I'm taking your rights. The judge makes those decisions of where the child is placed and when the child can go back home.
Okay.
Now, if the judge says, okay, yeah, we saw that you were using marijuana. There's a marijuana pipe sitting on your dresser. Why was it sitting on your dresser? You tested positive. Why is there a marijuana pipe on your dresser? Why were you tested positive?
Okay.
And you have to explain yourself now, saying, oh, well, California is legalized for marijuana. Well, yes, it's legalized. Is it federally legalized? No. It's not. It's only recreational for that state. That means it's only recreational use. It's not federally regulated.
Okay.
So
Margaret.
a lot of parents
Yeah, I was going to ask.
that.
I was going to ask Margaret and Tessa. Are there any questions to ask Betty now? She's talking about foster care system. Are there any questions to ask?
I mean, you can find me on Facebook too. I added Margaret last night, and I will be talking with her and see if she has any questions also on Facebook.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very informative because myself included have a false false knowledge of foster care. My kids were taken into foster care. Their first exposure to foster care was the shelter that's operated by foster care people. And that shelter was so bad. It's a house next to the juvenile prison. Now, juveniles have a play yard that's adjacent to the foster care shelter house. And so they're exposed to crimes they shouldn't be to. Also, they had a beehive that were attacking the children. The place was not clean. They had roaches and rats. And then on top of that, the food was terrible. It didn't taste very edible. And then their idea of, it's like they were a glorified babysitter. Their idea of education was to read them a book. Now, if you're 15 years old, you're going to a private high school, one of the top high schools in the country, and you're just taking classes in the STEM program, a science class, a technology class, engineering class, and a math class. You're going to need that kind of education. So for a couple of days when my kids were in that shelter, it was a miserable experience for them.
Now, do you have your children back, Bob?
I have 2 of my 3 children back. I have a total of 6 children, 3 olders. At the time of them stealing my child, my older children weren't living at home. They have families of their own. One's in his 40s, two of them are in their 30s, or three is in their 40s. Let me see here. Three. Yeah, I had three grown-up children. The son is in his 40s. He has a family owned and children. Same thing with my two daughters. They all have families. They're all on their own. So at the time of my abduction of my three children, there was really, it was stupid what their rationale was. Their rationale was that you're neglected children because you're sorting your parents' belongings who just have recently died or one was dying, and you're putting it into the home, and it was all in the living room area. It wasn't throughout the house. So one room, yes, the living room, which you entertain guests. I had put the furniture and the belongings, but it was neatly stacked, and nothing was higher than my youngest child of 9. But they had to come up with something. I mean, they met me at my house with 5 firemen, 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, and 2 uniformed policemen, all to find out something. And I should, if I known that law, I should have said, I'm sorry, you're not coming in unless you have a warrant. I'm not giving you permission to come in to my home. I'm going to contact my attorney, and he'll be present when he needs to talk to you. Or when the detective pulled me over, I should have said to him, give me the traffic violation that you accused me. I'll fight that in court, but I'm not going home. You don't have a warrant to force me to go home. Also, my wife needs to be picked up, and I need to get going. So that is the mistake that a lot of people make. I did not know. I thought by being open and honest with the police and the social workers of the child protection system that they would be fair in treating with me. But the problem being is the way it works, and should not work that way. When you are accused of neglect or abuse, you should not be considered guilty. Yes, a case can be opened and you can do investigation, but I think, whoops, I lost you.
Back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My call may have dropped you. I'm using my old phone. I have a new phone. I've transferred everything, but the tray that holds the SIM card broke off. So I have to go to an electronic way of activating my new phone. But I'm going from a Samsung 8 Plus to a Samsung 24HE, which is quite an upgrade. Phone's 7 years old, so it has a tendency to drop calls. So I apologize for that. A lot of times I'll be talking to Faye, and I drop her calls all the time. Now, let me see here. We have about 7 minutes left of my time here. I started late, and the reason why I started late is that there's no shows created. So I had to create a show. I've only done this once before, so I really don't know what I'm doing. I pick my rooms and I create the show, and hopefully it looks like it does everything else. I don't know if it's being recorded or not because I don't see the record button, but hopefully it is being recorded, and so people can look at it at a different time there. But anybody who's listening in this room, I want to thank you for your emojis, your thumbs up, your hearts, your smiles, also any stars you send my way. It's very appreciative. Also, I want you to know that this is the place you can hang out and people are respected to each other. I've had this troll the last 2 days with 3 different names. Today he started off at TechCom, and I had to ban him because he wants to talk about the dark side of CPS. How can I explain it to you? There are entities that the ones that marched on the Capitol that use extreme measures. And I don't think in this room the culture should be extreme measures. He wanted to fire the CPS. They're corrupt and so forth. I know that they're corrupt. But Nancy Schaefer wanted to redo all the CPS. She's a senator from Georgia. You should look her up, Nancy Schaefer. She was murdered when she was 74 years old. But she was a senator from Georgia and a really nice lady, and she always fought CPS. But she wanted to eliminate CPS. I don't know if it's better to work within to improve it or destroy it. It's like some people think, well, the United States has to be redone over again. I think we can make changes. We have a great Constitution. I've seen the Constitution be used all the time. And I really think our constitutional rights are protected. I see it in CPS and so forth. In my case, it was terrible because at first I tried to use the court-appointed attorneys and tried to fight the case by writing to the directors of social workers. I always start with the social worker, but the social worker that I had was only 23 years old, no education, no high school, no college, and there's no training from the Orange County Child Protection System in California. And I met with the director there. And it's so bad because you can see where the money is. He has a 14-story building just for himself. It's like the Taj Mahal of India or the Emerald City of the Wizard of Oz. It's so gaudy. And, money is no problem there because if they're getting $60,000, see, you only talking about $145 a month. Each of my child. Whoops. I'm sorry, I lost Betty again here. I'm trying to get her back. Margaret says my aunt was going through the adoption process for her grandson, and it was 2 years before it was final. Wow, 2 years. Are you back, Betty? Okay. I lost Betty, so I'm calling her again. Oh, your phone's dying. Okay. All right. Okay, Betty's phone's dying. We got to end the show anyway because we got about 2 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up with Tessa, Margaret, and Betty. You're beautiful people. I want to thank you for taking the time to help me with this podcast, to ask the questions and so forth. And I'm glad that you guys are sharing. But thank you, Betty, for explaining more about foster care. I've learned so much more. I need to find out when that incentive law was passed. There's a lot more research. I need to spend more time so I can be more informative there. And hopefully I get my computer fixed and my phone fixed so that I come across as a professional. Now, I'm taking down all my comments now because it's close to closing time. I want you not to forget about that special guide. It's called the Grandparents Guide. You can get it by calling it 888-888-6582. And if you use the code, it'd be 50% off. It's normally $9.99, but you can get it for $5 if you use my code capital P, capital A, capital C, capital E, and it's 50. That's my discount code. And you can use that discount code with anything with Mr. Davis. And so it's a discount code they give me. As I have a ticket running at the bottom of the screen, you can book 30 minutes with Mr. Davis for $60. And all you have to do is go to that website. Or you can be talking on the show, as Betty has, or be a guest on my show. And you can also talk to Mr. Davis for 15 minutes for free. I got that incentive. So all of you, I want you to keep fighting for your kids. I don't want you to give up. I hope the new year brings much success. I hope Tessa has some good news for us tonight. She's going to tell what happened with her court case today, January 2nd. And so I'd be really interested to hear. So I'll be on again at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And, 10 o'clock East Coast time. So I'd love to hear from you. I love to hear from people from all around the world and all our states and everything, because I do want to help you. I, too, have been fighting CPS now for 15 years. So with that being said, I'm going to sign off here. I think Margaret said something else. Margaret says they hop around in other agencies. Oh, that's terrible. She says that foster carers can lose their license and join another group. But anyway, I really care about you guys. I want what's best for you. And I'm glad you're part of my family. God bless you all. Enjoy your day. Just do not stop fighting for your kids. This is Bob Pace. It's going to be signing off. There'll be a brief message for Vincent, and I want special prayers to go out to Grace, my show producer, who's in the hospital. It's unforeseen. It just happened. And so I was able to pull the show together. But God bless you, and this is Bob Pace signing off.
Feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key. Faith, that's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is a question and answer session for school, SKOOL, and this is the CPS school.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Join our school community for free to access weekly live Q&A sessions, or participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.